News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 on this sunny Tuesday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright with a check of some of our top local stories. Well, a Riverdale resident is using a little bit of humor to protest local water restrictions while also drawing attention to the massive proposed data center being proposed for Boxelder County. Jordan Smith created the yard signs that read, quote, "This home identifies as a data center and will use whatever amount of water it wants," end of quote. Now, Smith says he's become frustrated that everyday homeowners are being asked to limit their water consumption during droughts while large-scale developments like the 40,000-acre Stratus Project data center are being approved. Now, environmentalists have raised concerns about the project's impact on local infrastructure in the Great Salt Lake. However, state officials and Boxelder County maintain that the facility will use a closed-loop cooling system with existing water rights, promising it won't divert water from residents. Now, Smith is hoping his satirical signs will force Utah leaders to address what he calls a double standard. In other news, a former Granite School District bus driver has been sentenced to 5 years in federal prison after admitting to intentionally setting a bus on fire while he was behind the wheel. Michael Austin Ford pleaded guilty to arson involving a vehicle belonging to an organization receiving federal funds. Now, court documents reveal that Ford had used a cigarette lighter to ignite a fire on an empty bus back in April of 2023. Now, surveillance video had captured him continuing to drive as smoke billowed across his face. Now, in addition to his prison time, a judge ordered Ford to pay nearly $22,000 in restitution, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Now, authorities noted that this was not Ford's first offense. He was also accused of setting another district bus on fire in February 2022 while driving in traffic and having 42 children on board. Now, following the state fire marshal conducting an investigation into those incidents, Ford was fired and then later arrested. And finally, a new state program that was offering Wasatch Front residents up to $800 to buy a new e-bike proved to be a massive hit. In fact, it was so popular that the 2,000 vouchers were claimed within just a couple hours yesterday. Now, the Utah Department of Environmental Quality had launched the initiative to try to help reduce vehicle emissions across Davis, Salt Lake, Tooele, Utah, and Weber counties. Now, under the first-come, first-served program, income-qualified residents were eligible for $800 vouchers, while other approved applicants received $400 vouchers. Now, the State Department is going to be offering also free e-bike training to approved applicants by the end of the month. Perhaps this is something that may be extended to the rest of the state in the future. Well, we're going to continue to enjoy sunny, clear skies this afternoon as temperatures have been in the low 80s, and now tonight will drop into the high 40s. Tomorrow, even warmer weather coming as we'll hit 85 for Wednesday, then be into the high 80s by Friday. Low 90s still coming for Saturday, and it looks like we're going to continue to see clear skies, dry conditions through the next 7 days. And it's Napa Auto Parts that brings you our weather here at the top of the hour. If you're heading out on those road trips, your first stop needs to be to Napa Auto Parts, where they have all the parts you need for summer travel. Batteries, headlights, wiper blades, many cases, they'll even help install it for you at Napa Auto Parts. From Preston to Providence, they have 5 locations, all locally owned and operated to serve your needs. It's Napa Auto Parts. And I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
Father's Day is coming up, and honestly, most dads aren't asking for another tie. Maybe it's time this year you finally do something for yourself. If you've been thinking about getting rid of that stubborn stomach fat, loose skin after losing weight, or changes you're not seeing with hard work in the gym, Bell Sculpt is here to help. No pressure, no judgment, just honest conversations about options that fit your goals. Start with a free consultation and see what's possible. Bell Sculpt, the go-to for personalized body sculpting.
Covering all the news. Stay with 610 AM and 102.1 FM. News Talk KVNU.
Did your washer just quit and now your laundry is piling up? If your appliance is broken down, give Daryl's Appliance a call. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. We are the only appliance shop in Cache Valley that offers service and sales. That means we have an exclusive, no-stress service call offer. You can apply your service trip fee to a new appliance if you decide you want a new appliance instead. Save time and money with everything under one roof. Servicing northern Utah and southern Idaho at Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road. See store for details.
As America celebrates its 250th birthday, the Cache Valley Media Group asks, why do you love America? We want to hear from you. Call in and record a short message sharing what America means to you, your family, your freedom, or your favorite traditions. We'll be playing select messages on the air all summer long. Join the fun and get complete instructions at CacheValleyDaily.com today. And happy 250th birthday, America.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. 75 degrees here at 5:10 in the afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to hour 2 of today's show. I'm Jason Williams. Last night, there were actually 2 congressional debates last night. First was the 3rd Congressional District debate between Congresswoman Celeste Malloy and former state lawmaker, former gubernatorial candidate Phil Lyman. Now a congressional candidate in the 3rd District, basically the eastern and southern leg of the eastern portion of the state. It's a little bit of an L-shaped district, a reverse L-shape. Following that, we got our own second congressional district. We used to be the first. Now we're the second, but the 2nd Congressional District debate was live streamed and broadcast last night. Appreciate the Debate Commission for making sure we got the audio for this. They've done a really good job, I think, of building their brand back up. And the questions last night were amazing, to be honest with you. Many were sent in by, there was actually a question from a Cache Valley resident that was read. There was a student from Weber State who got to ask a question live during the broadcast. And I've got some highlights here for you. I would recommend you watch the entire thing. There are some pieces that we don't have time to include here that were interesting in their own right. I've got the most relevant to Cache Valley portions of the debate and Box Elder County, of course, with that data center dominating a good third of the debate last night. Also, I would recommend that you visit the Utah Debate Commission YouTube channel for their post-debate Q&As with both of the candidates, both Congressman Blake Moore and State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, Moore's challenger in this race. He's the incumbent. She's the challenger in a Republican primary that is playing out as we speak, and ballots actually mailing today, so expect those in your mailboxes soon. The primary day is June 23rd, Tuesday, and you'll be allowed to vote in person. And a quick reminder again, as the Cache County Clerk told us recently, just remember the rules have changed one more time. The legislature did away with the postmark deadline for mail-in ballots, and now your ballot must be in physical possession of the county clerk's office and staff by 8 p.m. Polls close on Tuesday, June 23rd, on Election Day. Same rules will apply for the November election. So to utilize those drop boxes. You can use them anytime up until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, June 23rd. You drive past 2 or 3 of them on your daily commute, I guarantee it. They are bolted to the ground at every city hall in the valley. So utilize the drop boxes. Don't risk that postmark deadline that is now pretty vague. So, all right, to the debate highlights. Obviously, the 2 issues that are most relevant to those of us here in northern Utah that came up during the district debate last night involved Box Elder County and Weber County, to be honest with you. The economic impact of Hill Air Force Base and the proposed data center in Box Elder County and its effect on water. There were, again, some Cache Valley specific discussions around air quality, and one that I know a lot of people here in Cache Valley are paying attention to, the future of Medicaid after federal cuts were made earlier this year in a budget bill Republicans passed that have deeply affected rural hospitals, a concern in Rich County and northern parts of Cache County. So all of this was a part of the discussion. I've picked out the highlights on them all, but we'll start out here with the economy. The economy and specifically the economic impact in northern Utah of both Utah State University and Hill Air Force Base.
Let's move on to the economy and specifically Hill Air Force Base, which is an important part of the economy in this district. A two-part question here. What committee assignments would you pursue, and what's your plan to expand and revitalize Hill's mission? Candidate Moore, we start with you on this.
Thank you. I've had a long track record at this. I'm thrilled to be able to share some results on Hill Air Force Base. It is one of the strongest economic engines for northern Utah. Workforce, Davis, Weber, Box Elder counties are it's the best workforce in the country. That's why Hill Air Force Base is a shining light within the Air Force. The two programs that we have, F-35 and the Sentinel program, are key. We have secured $28 million for the infrastructure. That was a couple years ago. It was a record investment. Now we've just got a $6.5 million investment into the F-35 canopy. I started out in my time on Armed Services Committee, and I am the co-chair of the Depot Caucus and the Air Force Caucus, as well as Ways and Means is an area where we actually address a lot of the issues that are surrounding Hill Air Force Base. Mayor Shepard came to me with an idea that his biggest concern is housing for Hill Air Force Base, and we're running an idea that a local mayor brought to us with regards to affordable housing. And so we've had a great track record, and it's in a great spot.
Time is up. Candidate Lisenby, your thoughts on committee assignments you would pursue, and what's your plan to expand and revitalize Hill's mission?
So Hill Air Force Base is 20% of Utah's economy when you include the surrounding aerospace industry, and is even more concentrated for northern Utah. It's a vastly important economic driver for northern Utah. And I've served with base leadership, with the boots on the ground, had a lot of interaction, and been able to interface with congressional leaders and with the base leaders to make sure that their priorities are being addressed. And right now there's still some outstanding priorities that they would like to see addressed. So, look, I've talked with many former congressmen in Utah who are very concerned that we do not have somebody on the Armed Services Committee, and that there was a commitment to be on Armed Services Committee prior to running or to winning 6 years ago by Congressman Blake Moore. And so I plan to try to get back on Armed Services Committee. That's where the nuts and bolts of the budget are made, and I appreciate that Ways and Means is a tax committee, but it really does nothing for Utah.
Okay. So when you mention the candidate specifically by name, I have to, by the rules of the debate, give him a rebuttal. So, Congressman Moore, you have 30 seconds to respond to that.
It's very simple. I made a very strong commitment to support Hill Air Force Base in my time in Congress. And I've actually brought record funding in even after being off the committee. When I left, when I was from the Armed Services Committee to the Ways and Means Committee, I brought along all the local leaders that are most concerned about Hill Air Force Base, and they all thought it was a great idea. I'm a member of leadership. The first time in Utah's history, there's a sphere of influence that I can be able to go and make sure the base is protected. Orrin Hatch was able to do this too, and he you know the committees that he served on. The key part is. Real quick. Yep, I'm good. Okay. That's great. I'll be able to speak that.
All right, candidate Lisenby, we're going to go to you, and we're going to move to housing. From Davis to Cache counties, the district has seen some dramatic population coupled with housing that is really becoming increasingly unaffordable for many Utahns, especially those trying to start off. What specific policies would you promote to address affordable housing?
Thank you. So, like many of you, I want my children and grandchildren to be able to live and work close to me, and I have two that live out of state with their families. So I feel it personally. It's no coincidence that the cost of housing these past 5 years surged at the same time that Utah experienced a huge surge in in-migration, and that demand was compounded by out-of-control federal spending, fueling increased prices with inflationary pressures. So as a city council member, as a state legislator, I've always supported local control. There's nothing in the Constitution of the United States that says the federal government should be involved in housing policy. And I believe the greatest way to solve the most of our problems is to get the federal government out of the way.
Candidate Moore, your thoughts on specific policies that would promote to address affordable housing in our state?
Absolutely. The vast majority, the impact on this is all done at local zoning laws, making sure infrastructure networks are overlaid. We can help support some infrastructure projects that are here locally. But something very unique just happened a few weeks ago in our last session. We were able to pass a bill with over 400 votes, which means it's incredibly bipartisan. The Senate was doing something parallel at their time. The House doesn't always win these battles with the Senate, but this one we did. We dug our heels in, and we knew that we had a specific scope that we could get involved with. It's called the 21st Century to Rosie. This is an area that the federal government can get involved because it deals with permitting, it deals with streamlining HUD, and it deals with some banking regulation that will allow more capital to be able to give to lower-income Americans so they can go and start their homes. So there's a lot of really unique pieces that just got, but like to a Congress that gets blamed of being very gridlock and not getting anything done, this was a significantly positive achievement. The Trump administration is very supportive of it, and we should be able to get this done soon.
Again, candidates responding to questions on the economy and Hill Air Force Base's impact on northern Utah's economy. A lot of jobs related to Hill Air Force Base, and always a concern that the scope and mission of the base will be shrunk or even eliminated by an future administration. Both candidates responding there similarly, and this was a theme throughout the night. In fact, it was difficult at times to really determine how Lisenby distinguished herself from the incumbent she's challenging in this race, Congressman Blake Moore. And maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that means things are going pretty well for voters. But for the candidates, well, on the other side, one of the issues where they did really stake out different ground. And it's interesting to hear how the conversation played out. And coming up later on in the hour, both candidates, this is about a third of the debate last night, responding to multiple questions on the proposed AI data center in Box Elder County. Highlights from last night's 2nd Congressional District debate, courtesy of the Utah Debate Commission, continue right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Here's Chad, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn. The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and costs have both increased over the years. The lawn doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. By adding our HydroGuard service to your lawn care plan, it will help reduce your watering time by up to 1 day a week, saving you both water and money this summer.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call the lawn doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with a lot of misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Last night, Congressman Blake Moore and challenger in this Republican primary, State Representative Carrie-Ann Lisenby, took the stage before the Utah Debate Commission. This all took place in Salt Lake, ironically, but that was the venue they chose, the Debate Commission, not the candidates. And they were peppered with questions from really a much more aggressive debate commission after they came under some criticism in the last couple of cycles for phoning it in, my words. They stepped it up, I think. Great questions. Some of the questions were submitted by, there was a Weber State University student that asked a question about the electrical grid that I loved. I've got that highlight coming up for you in a bit. There was a question about the data center that was proposed early on in the debate that dominated, a good third of this debate last night went to that topic alone, the proposed data center in Box Elder County. Understandably, I think. It was fascinating to hear the candidates answer. At times, again, it was difficult to really distinguish between the candidates on some of the issues, but there were other times when it was very obvious there was a difference between the two candidates and where they were coming from. This is just one example of that. This was a question that was posed actually by a Cache Valley resident last night, who was asking about recent cuts made by the Republican House. I think this originated in the with Republicans in the House. It was negotiated and whittled down a bit, but then eventually signed off on by the Republican majority in the Senate, signed by the president, and it was pretty extensive cuts to several medical programs, including Medicaid, and the concern is that it's now leaving rural hospitals in a bit of a spot. And that's a big concern in northern Cache Valley and Rich County, the questioner pointed out. Wanted to know how both candidates feel about these cuts that have been enacted and if they should remain in place, if some of that funding should maybe be restored. Here's what the candidates had to say.
Sure. Look, I'm so happy that we have so many Weber State students here asking questions. This is awesome. And I would say we need major entitlement reforms because as the federal government keeps shifting the burden to the states, our portion that we are paying in Medicaid benefits is burgeoning. And as a state with a limited budgetary outlook, that is concerning. We have seen that portion of our budget grow substantially, and I know that other states are seeing similar impacts from federal action in that space. So either the federal government needs to decide that they're actually going to just block grant money to the states and let the states handle the program, or there's all of the above potential solutions to really get at we have a safety net. The safety net is being delivered. And we know that government closest to the people actually delivers better than the government farther away.
Candidate Moore.
Absolutely. Berkeley, thanks for the question. I think it's, again, a very important one. And that's a big number about a potential cut to a program. The reality is, it's what we did to be able to enact that type of number to be recorded, right? The way the budget scoring goes in Congress with this Congressional Budget Office, it's a bit of a convoluted issue, but what we did, I stand firmly behind. We don't know how the ultimate impacts of it will be on fiscal matters, but it was the largest. We enacted the largest mandatory spending cut in our nation's history last year, which is something that has to happen because, as I mentioned, that's the vast majority of where our debt is coming from. But now, this Medicaid piece, this is a very important program that we have reenacted, and we haven't seen this for several decades, but it's called the work requirement. The work requirement is key. It's important to be able to run Medicaid responsibly the way that it is. We make exceptions for folks that have certain ailments. We make opportunities for people that have dependents. But folks that are on Medicaid and they're from working age, they need to be working, and we're going to work with them to make sure that they're doing this properly. And it's going to make Medicaid a better program.
Okay, I'm going to give each of you another shot at that one. Candidate Lisenby, you had something come up there that you wanted to discuss?
I just wanted a rebuttal. My opponent has had two. I wanted one.
The stage
I have
is
something
yours.
to say. Thank you. All right. So, as a person who's served at local and state government levels, I'm very aware of when Congress makes decisions that impact you, every one of your lives, but also state government and local government. And this is one of those cases. So we had requirements in place that then a changing administration said, well, you can't actually have those requirements for Medicaid. This is my point. Is Medicaid best administered at the federal level, or is this a state issue? So I think it's a state issue, and we need to have federal block grants or something like that where the states can really make the determinations.
Okay. You got more than 30 seconds on that rebuttal, so we will we will take it from there.
I can just be very brief. I completely agree, right? We saw the Biden administration just enact wide-sweeping changes that made it one of the most irresponsible programs. And what we had to do, and it's tough politically, and we're going to have tough races in securing this majority, but we had to do the responsible thing with Medicaid, because I have seen Utah do a really good job at addressing this issue, but other states don't, and we had to, at the federal level, make sure. So we're in agreement on this, and it's going to make this a better program for the people that it's actually designed for.
Again, that was both candidates responding, and a little back and forth there on Medicaid, recent cuts made to the program at the federal level. The question was, should they be restored as we've seen them hurt rural hospitals? Both candidates definitely staking out their ground on that one, but in the end, agreeing. And this happened a lot last night. Coming up, though, an area where they did not agree. At least not entirely, and that was the discussion around the Great Salt Lake and water, a promise of $1 billion from the Trump administration to save the Great Salt Lake, and the proposed data center in Box Elder County, which, I'll let you know, dominated about a third of the entire debate last night. Highlights right after this look at the local headlines with KVNU's Will Feelright.
Well, thank you, Jason. Utah farmers say they are finding some creative ways to try to keep summer markets stocked after a devastating spring freeze wiped out nearly all of the state's tree fruit. Now, according to the Utah Farm Bureau, plunging April temperatures destroyed up to 100% of local peaches, cherries, and apricots. Now, in response, many local growers say they plan to import fruit from neighboring northwestern states to try to continue serving their customers this summer. Now, to support struggling growers, the Utah Farm Bureau is making a rare exception to its rules, temporarily allowing non-Utah grown produce to be sold at farmers markets. Now, while row crops like berries and melons were able to survive the colder temperatures this year, the imported tree fruit could lead to slightly higher prices for shoppers. Now, Governor Spencer Cox has also issued a disaster declaration allowing affected farmers to apply for emergency loans to help maintain their orchards. Well, search and rescue crews say they recovered the body of a 27-year-old man last night who had gone missing while riding a wave runner at Willard Bay Reservoir on Sunday. Now, authorities located the body of Isaac Vasquez, originally from Ecuador, just before 6 o'clock last night. Now, Vasquez had been the subject of an extensive search after he had disappeared Sunday evening while riding the personal watercraft. Now, the multi-agency recovery effort had included teams from the Utah Department of Natural Resources Law Enforcement Division, Willard City Police, along with search and rescue teams from Box Elder and Weber counties. Now, in a public statement yesterday, the Utah DNR extended their condolences to the Vasquez family and friends, calling the outcome a tragic and unfortunate circumstance. And finally, an Ogden man already in jail for allegedly kidnapping a 13-year-old girl is now facing new sexual assault charges involving 2 additional victims. The court documents that were filed yesterday charged 35-year-old Christopher Thomas Wiggins with 2 counts of object rape and 1 count of forcible sexual abuse. Now, police say they uncovered the new allegations, which stem from an incident back in November of 2023 while investigating the prior abduction case. Now, Wiggins was arrested last December following a multi-state Amber Alert that had ended when authorities had located him and the missing teenager in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, he remains being held in the Weber County Jail on felony charges of child kidnapping and object rape related to that incident. Wiggins is scheduled to make his next court appearance coming up June 17th, though the initial hearing on the new charges have yet to be set. Well, it's been a gorgeous afternoon with lots of sunshine, temperatures in the low 80s today, and it's only going to get warmer as we head through the rest of the week. Tonight, we'll see clear skies with temperatures overnight dropping into the high 40s. Tomorrow, expected to be right around 85 for a high before we'll hit the high 80s by Friday, and then low 90s coming for Saturday. And weather this hour brought to you by Cardall's Insulation. Not only will insulation help you keep your home's temperature more consistent, but it can also help your home be more quiet. Give Cardall's Insulation a call at 755-5012. And I'm Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. An unknown number of hostages are being held this hour as police respond to a bank robbery and bomb threat in Bakersfield, California. ABC's Melissa Adon is in Los Angeles.
Police say there is a male suspect that's inside that bank. He's making bomb threats, but police say they do not know just how many people are involved and inside that bank right now who are trapped. While City Hall, police headquarters are on lockdown there as police negotiate with that suspect right now.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche got a grilling on Capitol Hill today and confirmed
we're not moving forward with the fund.
That's a controversial anti-weaponization fund that would have used nearly $1.8 billion in taxpayer money to compensate the president's allies. President Trump posting that talks with Iran continued today, but that, quote, one never knows where those talks will go. 6 states holding primary elections today, including California. Voters casting ballots in the race for governor and L.A. mayor. This is ABC News.
This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. We are now Alera Group. Need home or auto insurance? What about your business, general liability, and workers' comp? You have employees? What about their health benefits? Our team now works with more carriers, more options. You get national strength with the same small town team. Come in, same friendly faces, same local office. Or call 435-752-0101.
One person's junk is another person's treasure. This Saturday, June 6th, don't miss Cache Valley's biggest garage sale at the Eccles Ice Center parking lot from 8 to 3. Sponsored by DD Auto and Salvage. Whether you're searching for great deals or looking to clean out the garage, this is the place to be. And there's still room for vendors. Gather your treasures, reserve your booth, and turn clutter into cash. Plus, enjoy food trucks and a free kid zone with inflatable fun. Reserve your booth or learn more now at CacheValleyGarageSale.com.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at CacheHearing.com.
Happy Father's Day from Birch Creek Golf Course. For Dad this Father's Day, visit birchcreekgolf.com and view our online pro shop where you will find our Father's Day deals. Punch passes are on sale, or get Dad a golf lesson, range pass, or gift certificate. So for Dad this Father's Day, choose Birch Creek and visit our online pro shop. And happy Father's Day, Dad, from your friends at Birch Creek in Smithfield.
As America celebrates its 250th birthday, the Cache Valley Media Group asks, why do you love America? We want to hear from you. Call in and record a short message sharing what America means to you, your family, your freedom, or your favorite traditions. We'll be playing select messages on the air all summer long. Join the fun and get complete instructions at CacheValleyDaily.com today. And happy 250th birthday, America.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. A reminder, going to scrap our plan to have both county attorney candidates join us at the same time for, well, we were going to call it a debate, but it was going to be more of just kind of a discussion around 4 topics and just roughly timed. But a last-minute schedule development for one of the candidates means we will not be able to do this. What we're going to do instead is back to our traditional candidate spotlights. So tomorrow on the program, 5 p.m., Cache County Attorney candidate and current Cache County Attorney Dane Murray will join us. Next week, day hasn't been determined yet, but also at 5 p.m., we'll speak with Brett Chambers, the other candidate in the race. So if you are getting your ballot this week and this is a race you're undecided on, hold tight. We'll get both of these candidates on once again. And if you have questions in advance that you're dying to hear the candidates respond to, make sure to send them my way, kvnuftp@gmail.com, or call anytime, 753-5868. This race is getting a lot of attention, which is good. I think that's very cool. So, all right, back to the congressional primary. Republican candidates, Congressman Blake Moore and State Representative Carrie-Ann Lisenby, on stage last night in Salt Lake City at a Utah Debate Commission-hosted, planned, and coordinated debate for the first congressional, second, it's going to take me a while to learn that new number, second congressional district. We had highlights before the news on the discussion around Hill Air Force Base, the economy, the role USU plays in the economy, and also federal cuts to the Medicaid program that have put the strain on some rural hospitals here in the second congressional district. So now we'll move on to the issue that dominated nearly 1/3 of the debate last night, the proposed AI data center in Box Elder County. Questions ranged from, are you a fan of how this played out? Could it have been done better? To, does this really need to happen? Is there actually an arms race when it comes to AI with China? It was a fascinating conversation. Both candidates got a chance to, in one of the few areas they did last night, really highlight a distinction between themselves on this issue. And, well, here's what they had to say.
Present. Those who support it say it can bring economic opportunity, while those who oppose it question the strain it will have on precious resources here in our state. So we are going to tackle this on 3 different levels, starting with security. And the first response goes to you, candidate Moore. Do you agree or disagree that we need more data centers to assist with national security? Expound upon that, and then also talk about what you believe Utah's role in that is.
Absolutely. I appreciate the way you frame that, because in actuality, both are right. Both competing issues are right. They are very important, and we have incredibly important and natural resources that cannot be disrupted, and then particularly at the front of it will be the debate about the Great Salt Lake. I assume that'll be one of the 3 things that we talk about. But we cannot lose this race to China, because we will do it more responsibly, we will do it with better efficacy, and we will be able to maintain our supreme position in the world stage by embracing and doing it ethically with regards to everything on this AI sort of arms race, if you will. And so I revert back to my statement that I made a few weeks ago. Box Elder County has been absolutely on the world stage on big events. We joined the Continental Railroad. We've put men and women into space from Box Elder County. And this is an opportunity that if we do this right, we can actually continue to be a world leader.
Thank you. Candidate Lisenby, let's talk security. Do you believe that data centers play a key role in assisting national security, and what role should Utah play in that?
Thank you. So Utah is playing a role. Utah has many data centers, and as the legislature has been grappling with this, we passed a bill this year, HB 507, to ensure that these large load data centers, that we are not giving out of control tax incentives to billionaires while we're taxing mechanics on Main Street. So we have to be mindful of those impacts on everyday voters in Utah. And I think based on the signaling from House and Senate leadership and from the governor over the last few days, signaling a reduction in the size of the data center, we are seeing that there is listening happening. I was the first Republican elected official to say publicly that we needed more transparency around this, more public hearings, and a better process. So I look forward to continuing to talk about this important issue.
Okay, let's dig now into public support. A recent poll from both the Hinckley Institute and the Deseret News finding that nearly 70% of Utahns think the costs outweigh the benefit of a major data center like this one. What is your response to this level of concern from voters? Candidate Lisenby, we start with you.
Thank you. So from the very beginning, I posted my concerns on social media, like I said, and I have had a huge response from people texting, calling, wanting to talk more about this. Look, process matters. And when the public is seeing a rushed process and there's many unanswered questions about the impacts on environment and water, and there's no impact studies, there's been no input from the public, that is when elected officials run into problems. And so I've been very proactive at voicing my concerns, and was proactive when it was signaled by our state auditor that our code was being abused in ways by these development tools that were being utilized out in the communities. And so that's why we worked really hard to push and then pass HB 507 in the House and Senate this year.
Candidate Moore, your response to the public support and 70% of Utahns saying the risks outweigh the benefits here.
Absolutely. So there was obviously a dearth of information going out to the public. I'm, in my role, I'm not a decision maker on MIDA or anything like that, but people were not brought on the stage. I was with the Box Elder County Commissioners when we were at an energy roundtable that we were doing, and they were just getting wind of it, and it was something that is very important for them to be able to have an opportunity to weigh in, because they're going to be the best to be able to communicate with their constituents. And the Box Elder County residents didn't get brought in. I'm glad that is happening now. It's very important, right? And so I think that people have heard that, but it needs to have been a better process from years before to make sure that this stuff gets out there to the public and they have a chance to weigh in on it. And I'm all about having a positive outlook on things. And so this is a good opportunity to be able to say, hey, there's problems within this process, and the public has had a chance to weigh in. They've weighed in heavily, and I think that there's a response to that now.
But we'll give you some more opportunity to talk in greater detail. Centers, do you support state and federal government incentives and subsidies to help support these data centers coming to our state here in Utah? Candidate Moore, you will begin this.
Right. Part of our tax reform that we actually had to fix something that took place in 2017. Very supportive of the tax reform, the pro-growth tax reform that took place. But we had to fix something in last year's One Big Beautiful Bill with respect to research and development expensing. We need to be able to have companies have investment opportunity, but they cannot be just corporate giveaways, right? And they need to be broad-based, and they need to not just particular set up for one industry or company for success. So incentives. We need pro-growth tax policy that exists. You can go through the entire list of the working families tax cuts to be able to identify lots of ways that we've done that. A data center like this, if the public and the local officials decide to move forward with something like this, like they can't be just micro-focused on this type of work. It has to be something that multiple different companies can take advantage of.
Candidate Lisenby, incentives. Do you support state and federal government incentives and subsidies for the creation of large data centers in our state?
Thank you. So as a member of Syracuse City Council and as a member of the state legislature for 10 years, I voted for incentives and I voted against incentives. I've tried to be very strategic. And every year we have looked at the tax incentives that we give. I firmly believe government should not be in the position of choosing winners and losers in the market, but get out of the way and let the market work. And I think sometimes when we see these incentives, they act to paper over bad decisions in the marketplace instead of letting the market filter out those bad decisions. So it's really important that we're very surgical and strategic about that.
All right, let's do a quick follow-up. We'll go 15 seconds each on this one really fast. In the end, the dust settles. Trying to draw a distinction between the two of you on this very issue. Do you support the proposal as it is? Should it be scaled back, or should there be no data center in Box Elder County? Candidate Lisenby.
Well, frankly, there's too many unanswered questions to answer that definitively. So I think I would just need more answers to the questions that I've asked many, many people. And those surround water impacts and other real impacts to everyday taxpayers. Those impacts don't go away just because we give tax incentives. And so I am not supportive at this point until questions are answered. And that's why I've called for more public hearings and more transparency.
Okay, and we went about 10 seconds over on that, so you'll have 25 seconds to answer this one.
Very brief. Water is paramount. We need to make sure that we're being very protective of that resource. There's opportunities to do things in a more bite-sized approach where you don't have to bite off so much. I mean, the land scale of this was enormous. And I think that was what gave people a lot of pause. And so there is smart ways to be able to address this my opportunity is to make sure key stakeholders are talking to each other, and if they do decide this, we help usher this in the right way.
25 seconds goes by really fast.
Sure does.
So.
I love that. Sure does. Congressman Moore and State Representative Lisenby again on the stage last night for this Utah Debate Commission hosted debate. You can watch the entire thing via the Utah Debate Commission's YouTube channel. These are some of the highlights. Again, the data center discussion that you just heard there dominated a good third of the debate time last night, understandably, I think. The second longest discussion that took place revolved around the Great Salt Lake, the $1 billion promised from the Trump administration, and water in general in northern Utah in the 2nd Congressional District. Highlights of that portion of the debate wrapping up the hour right after this.
Do you have a group or individuals that want to help out at Summerfest Arts Fair? Summerfest is back June 18th through the 20th, located at the Cache County Fairgrounds. And it takes over 300 volunteers to make it happen. You can work 2 hours or 40 hours. Call at 435-213-3858. That's 435-213-3858. Or online at info@logansummerfest.org. That's info@logansummerfest.org.
Hi, this is Brooke Stevenson.
I'm David Castor with Adams Wealth Advisors. We're truly honored to be named Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for the Best Financial Planner. This community means everything to us, and we're grateful for every customer who made this possible. Thank you for your trust.
Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
Over 50? You can still register as an organ and tissue donor.
Call 1-866-99-DONATE. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Wrapping up today's show with final highlight from last night's Congressional District 2 debate. Congressman Blake Moore and challenger in this Republican primary, State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby on stage. A lot of questions were asked. I brought you some of the highlights, the meatier portions of the debate, but there were a lot of it's worth your time. You can watch the entire thing at the Utah Debate Commission's YouTube channel. Also, check out the post-debate Q&A with both candidates. Those are posted as separate videos there on the YouTube channel. With the time remaining, though, I wanted to spotlight this. Coming up at the mid-portion of the debate last night was the Great Salt Lake, $1 billion promise from the Trump administration to go towards saving the lake efforts, and water in general in the Northern District. Here's what the candidates had to say to the importance of water, of course, and the planning. Are we doing a good job? Where can we do better and more? Stress on the electrical grid. It was sort of a strange development in the discussion last night. I'm glad it came up. I love talk of the electrical grid because it doesn't come up enough. But unfortunately, the responses were not impressive. This was not something either candidate, I think, is in a position to speak to. It's not a bill that's come up for Congressman Moore to vote on or research as a member of Congress. It's definitely not come up in the state legislative cycle. And it surprised everyone, I think, including the debate moderator. But I'm glad the electrical grid came up in the middle of all this. Unfortunately, there was, not a big discussion around it. So they moved on quickly, again, to the Great Salt Lake and the promised $1 billion in funding from the Trump administration.
Vital role it plays to our lives here in the state of Utah. President Trump's 2027 fiscal budget includes $1 billion to help with funding efforts for the Great Salt Lake. How will you work with both the president and Congress to make sure that that money is indeed delivered here to the state of Utah? Candidate Moore.
Thank you. This is an immediate issue right now that we're taking up. So, most importantly, to your question, I just had a private meeting with the budget director, Russ Vogt, on this exact issue. He actually brought it up to me because I talked to him about it in a committee hearing, and he wanted to know a little bit more about how Utah was thinking about it, and the sense. Celeste Malloy is on the subcommittee, so our teams are working together to make sure that subcommittee that will usher in some of the funding is. It's clearly articulated. It talks about how the impact will be, and it makes sure Utah has the opportunity to use it the best way possible. So we just had a summit about this last week, and I'll just reiterate what I talked about there. In my first term, I was in the minority as a freshman and was able to still pass legislation regarding the Great Salt Lake. It's called the Saline Lakes Ecosystems Act. And what it does is it engaged the U.S. Geological Survey to be able to start monitoring and evaluating it. And you can see a throughput from getting the federal government in a way that they can actually get involved to now that there's an actual funding request. And so we've got a track record that we can see some success here.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Lisenby, talk about how you would ensure that funding request makes it to the state of Utah to be put to use.
So water in Utah is a limited resource, and I have some questions around where does the $1 billion come from? Is that more deficit spending that is going to drive up prices for everyday Utahns for the things that they need? And look, I'm not saying I'm not grateful for any resources that can go to the Great Salt Lake, but also, you know, we have to talk about what program did we cut to get $100 billion or $1 billion dedicated to the Great Salt Lake. So as a state legislator, we have led out on the water issue. We dedicated money to the trust to be able to make sure that we are prioritizing shares when we can to the Great Salt Lake, but we're in a prolonged and intense drought cycle right now. And I was one out of only 4 Republicans to vote against a bill that removed oversight by the state water engineer to consider broad impacts of a water right application. And it also restricted protests and significantly raised the legal burden for appeals. So that was a vote to protect good process. Now that bill passed, and so we have a different process now. But
we are over time, Candidate Lisenby, by about 15 seconds or so. I'm going to move to the next question, though, and you may be able to get some more when it comes to the Great Salt Lake out of that, because we're sticking to that subject at this time. Former House Speaker Brad Wilson, he used to talk about the Great Salt Lake in the way that it was one of his constituents, because so much of it landed within the district that he represented. You could say the same thing about the 2nd District here in the state of Utah. So let's get specific into policies that you think are most crucial when it comes to saving the lake. Candidate Lisenby, we begin with you.
So it's going to take collaboration at the local, state, and federal level to really solve our water issues here in the state. We've done all that we can on conservation publicly. There's ag conservation happening, and with the prolonged drought cycle, we are looking at serious restrictions. The governor calling for a fast. So specifically, what we need to do is, I am proud to have the support of 42 of my colleagues in the legislature and many local leaders across the district, and we will work hand in hand as a federal partner to ensure that we are getting water into our district. But also, we have to make sure that with the Colorado River Compact negotiations, that we are getting that prioritized for Utah as well.
Candidate Moore, name off some specific policies that you think are most crucial to saving the lake.
I'm glad you mentioned former Speaker Brad Wilson. This was a legacy item for him. He was able to communicate it in a way that was so urgent but thoughtful. Tim Hawks as well in the state legislature. It was an honor to be able to work with them to get some actual legislation done that kind of started this focus on how important it is to study and analyze what was needed, right? Money can go to helping remove some of the Phragmite population. That sucks up so much acreage that, you know, you kind of think, okay, what can you actually do? We obviously need more snow. We need more snowpack. That's crucial for the potential of this playing out in the right way. But there's real ways we can go and make sure that we conserve as much as possible reduce as much possible evaporation. But you've got our folks talking to lower Colorado River compact about what desalination efforts they can do, and there's a whole bunch of innovative ideas that a little bit of resource can actually produce a really big result here.
Congressman Moore's mention of eliminating the phragmites actually led to a really, really cool science-y Deseret News story today. Check that out. The title of the story, literally, why do we burn the phragmites on the lake? The short answer is they suck up a lot of water and they're an invasive species. But Congressman Moore mentioning that got a journalist of the Deseret News curious about how it's done. It's pretty fascinating. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. Those are your debate highlights. Again, you can watch the entire 2nd Congressional District debate via the Utah Debate Commission's YouTube channel. And, those ballots going to be hitting mailboxes later this week, early next. So get to know the candidates quick. That's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow on the program, the first of 2 Cache County Attorney spotlights. Cache County Attorney candidate Dane Murray will be joining us on tomorrow's program. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.